Hey everyone, Carl G. Larson here, and I am so excited you decided to join us in this wellness journey. But again, it all starts with our wellness and our health. If we don't have that, nothing else matters. I mean, really, right? If you're on your deathbed, what else matters? Nothing, because your health is gone. So what we want to do is be proactive, not reactive, and really implement some of these things on a daily basis so you can maximize that energy to really invest it into things that are important to you. Because I just remember getting home at night after a long days of work or whatever it may be, and I was totally out of energy, so I just have to lay on the couch and watch TV because I couldn't do anything else. I was so tired. And what a shame. And now I'm a father. I would feel so guilty if I went home after work and I had no more energy. I spent all my energy at work or doing other things during the day, and I came home to the people that are most important to me, my wife and my family and my son, and I couldn't invest into them. We're not going to let that happen. What we're going to do is, like I said, build that foundational base so when you get home you have just as much, if not more energy, all the way until you're ready to go up to bed, and you sleep like a baby. You get so much rest, you wake up refreshed, and you go at it again because you can and you want to. And that all starts with what you're putting in your mouth and what you're drinking when you're eating. Okay, so with that, guys, let's get into the content. Let's get into some of the things that are going to help you move forward and really demystify some of the questions you've had on how to get that energy that you desire. Okay, so here we go, guys. There is one overriding philosophy or guideline that I want you to really take in right now. Because like I said, it's going to make the world of difference for you as it did for me. And what I used to do was take the majority of my energy and the majority of my effort and put it into exercise. Because I just thought, if you want to get healthy, you got to work out more, eat less. That's what I thought, just from the mass media out there. And you see these pictures of perfect body images and these pictures of what people tell you, or articles of what people tell you should do and all this stuff, okay? But it wasn't until I stopped putting the majority of my efforts into exercise and I took it back and I thought about it, reflected, and actually invested it into nutrition and what I was fueling my body with, that things really clicked. So think about this analogy really quick. So you have a world-class race car, right? This beautiful machine that is just manufactured with precise measurements, and it is built to go fast. It is a world-class machine, right? But if you don't fuel it appropriately, it's just a piece of metal. It's just sitting there, nothing is happening. Yeah, maybe it looks pretty, maybe it's just, whatever, but it's not doing what it's meant to do. Now I'm here to tell you guys, your body is that world-class race car. It will perform at a world-class level once you fuel it with what you need to fuel it with. So if you put sand in the gas tank of that race car, what would happen? Right? It wouldn't work, it'd break, right? Or if you put regular gasoline, yeah, it'd work, it'd be great, but not to its best capability. If you put the highest octane, most finely refined, perfected gasoline for that car into that car, that thing's gonna perform like a champ. And so that's the thought I want you to think about. And really, again, what's going into the tank is your nutrition. And so what I started to do, guys, was spend the majority of my efforts and energy in my nutrition. And there's a specific number that I want to share with you. Okay, guys, 80% of your efforts should go into your nutrition. And the reason being is just with that race car analogy is when you give your body the things, the building blocks it needs to operate at a high level every single day, it will start to perform in that manner. But if you don't, if you fall into the majority of Americans and people out there that just fill their body with whatever, right, it's going to be really tough. And so what is good nutrition? What is, healthy food? There's so much stuff out there now, and artificial flavors and sweeteners and packaged goods and canned goods and non-GMO and GMO and all this information that really makes you wonder what you're eating, if it's really good for your body. Because a lot of times we're eating stuff that we think is good because it's marketed to us like it's really healthy, but in actuality it's really not helpful. Today, guys, we're talking about the 4 nutritional guidelines that kind of override everything. And I'm just going to give you a preface right here. If this is stuff that you heard before, right, I want you to ask the question, am I doing it on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis? Okay, because some of these things are probably going to be something you've heard before, but I'm here to challenge you if you are doing this or not. Okay, because when I first heard these, I was like, oh yeah, I got that. And then they're like, my coach was like, no, I mean, maybe you understand it logically, but are you doing it? And I was like, well, I know what you're talking about. And be like, no. Are you doing it on a daily basis, every single day? And I was like, actually, no, I'm not. He's like, okay, so there's a difference between logically understanding something and being emotionally attached to it and acting on the information that you know to get the results you want. There's a big gap there. So a lot of that has to do with your mentality and your thought process, and we're not gonna get into that right now. But what we are gonna do is give you guys at least the information that you need to be able to move forward in your energy and your vitality and your fitness, okay? So the first big nutritional guideline you need to know to maximize everything is this. Eat within 30 minutes after waking up. That is so important. If there was one thing that I would say would make a difference for you, is eating within the first 30 minutes after waking up. Okay, so I want you guys to think of a campfire, okay, or some type of fire. Bonfire, campfire, doesn't really matter, whatever. Fire inside your fireplace in your house, great, right? That fire gives off a ton of heat energy, right, all the time, if it's burning hot. We have to start the fire to allow it to do what it's made to do, really ignite and give off that energy, right? If we don't start the fire, it's not gonna burn, duh, right? Pretty simple, obviously. Your body's the exact same way. So in the morning, you just slept, hopefully for 6, 7, 8 hours, and probably didn't eat the minute before you went to bed. Probably is a few hours between when you ate dinner and when you actually went to bed. So if you add all that up, guys, let's say 3 hours from dinner to when you went to bed, plus another 8, that's about 11 hours of your body utilizing the energy you gave it, aka food. So you eat dinner, now it starts to break that down and metabolize it into energy, simplified, right? And so you just went 11 hours without putting any fuel on your fire. So how hot do you think your fire is burning in the morning? It's not. And a lot of people have a lot of different beliefs about their fire in the morning, like I'm not hungry in the morning, or I go work out in the morning and don't like to work out on a full belly, or I like to have a coffee and then I wait 2 hours. And I understand, like, we have habits that we do. I totally did too. I used to drink a pot and have a coffee, wouldn't eat until about mid-morning. But what I found when I did this is that my energy literally went through the roof. And it's so important, guys. There's research out there that really talks about 30 minutes is kind of the key time frame. You got to eat within the first 30. If we miss the first 30, it's kind of like you missed the opportunity for that day. So if you hit it, it's like your metabolism in your body and your energy is working up here all day long. If you miss it, it's almost like we're down here. Okay, so really important within the first 30 minutes after waking up. What I do, guys, is I wake up and I'll go let the dog out, feed the dog, and kind of waking up, just getting your mind right. And probably about 15 minutes after wake up, I'm actually in the kitchen, either making some type of smoothie, like a protein shake, or eating some type of breakfast food that will digest quickly. What I really love to do is have a protein shake in the morning because it's liquid, digests quick, so it really starts to ignite that fire. So not only is eating within 30 minutes super important to kickstart your metabolism for the day, but in addition to that, guys, there's some things you do throughout the day that really help to maintain that high level of metabolism. And I'll tell you, if you're, a lot of people work out in the morning and they'll even say, like, I don't like to work out on a full belly. And the eat within 30 minutes, sometimes people think they have to like sit down and make eggs and make toast and make this huge breakfast, healthy breakfast. I'm like, no. You just got to get something to get it started. Okay, so even if it's like a Greek yogurt, or even if it's like a protein smoothie, or even if it's like a bowl of oatmeal with some type of protein with a breakfast ham or something, so you get both, it just needs to be something. So especially with people that work out right away in the morning, they don't want to have a huge stomach full of liquid or full of food. So I'm like, great, here's what I want you to do. Eat right away in the morning after you wake up. It can be something like a snack, like 100 to 200 calories, like a Greek yogurt, just to get that fire started. And then after your workout, you can look at something more of a colorful meal-ish or a whole protein shake. But regardless, guys, it's about eating within that first 30 minutes after waking up. Okay, the second nutritional guideline to really rock and roll every day is to, drum roll please, eat every 2.5 to 4 hours. So now think of that campfire again, right? We started it in the morning and we got it going, but just like a fire, if you put wood on the fire, it's gonna burn the wood and then the fire's gonna burn down. Eventually it'll just burn out. But if you continuously fuel the fire, it's gonna keep burning continuously. So that's like your body. You gotta give it fuel every few hours to keep it rocking and rolling. If you don't, your energy will come down naturally and you'll be tired. And so, again, probably a simple thought that you've had before, but I mean, how good are you at this? So literally, if I wake up at 6 a.m., let's say for simplicity's sake, 6 a.m. I wake up, I eat, then I usually go about every 3 hours personally. So like 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m. And if I'm up late for the day, I'll even have something later at night, in which we'll talk about eating late at night and how you can do that in an effective way, later in the videos. But really, guys, it's that continuous thing. So a lot of times people also have work or have meetings or have things where they can't eat exactly in 3 hours. I'm like, it's okay. Just get the philosophy of it, get the guideline of it of every few hours. So if it has to be 2 hours, then 4 hours, it's okay, 2.5 to 4. But you want to be fueling the fire to maximize your energy. And when you do eat every 2.5 to 4 hours, again, think of the campfire. Like if we stacked wood on the fire 5 feet high, right? What's gonna happen to the fire? It's gonna get smothered. No oxygen can get in there. It's way too much. It just kills it. And if we don't give it enough, if we just throw in a little bit of wood, again, guys, it's gonna burn it up in 2 seconds, and then it's gonna need more. So think of this. Think of a lot of what Americans eat. A lot of what people eat is high fat, high sugary, processed foods. That's like gasoline on the fire, and people are always wondering why I'm hungry. So we eat this food that is like the opposite of healthy, and our metabolism just blows up, and then it comes back down, and we're in the exact same position 30 minutes later of we're hungry and we're not satisfied and we're not full, and now we can't focus on anything because all we're thinking about is our stomach, right? So in addition to eating a few hours, guys, it's really important to make sure that what you're putting on the fire is in the right quantity and in the right stuff. And we'll get into that in more detail too. But every few hours is absolutely essential to be able to maximize everything. Okay, so now we got some momentum build up. Okay, we know that 80-20, we know 80% of your effort should be going into nutrition, which is this, right? 20% will be going into exercise, which again, we'll talk about later. But if you master the 80% and really just take it on and apply this stuff on a daily basis, guys, I'm telling you, it's gonna change your life. It did for me, it will for you too. That's one of my beliefs, is what one person can do, another can do. It's just a matter of how much hunger and drive and passion that person has to make it happen. So the third thing, guys, that we can do is every time you eat, I was kind of talking about this in a little more vague terms, but I'm going to get into it now a little more, meat and potatoes per se, lean protein and complex carbs. So now we're eating every few hours, right? And so every 2.5 to 4 hours we're eating, but what we're eating is super important. And again, if you put gasoline on the fire's going to go up and down. You put too much on the fire, it's going to smother the fire. So we need to put it in the right amounts, and we need to put the right stuff on. And lean protein and complex carbs is the right stuff. Now, what's lean protein? Like, what is protein? I mean, you probably hear the buzzword. People talk about it a lot. High protein, protein this, protein snack. People put protein, marketing companies put protein on the label to make it more attractive to consumers. But protein is a macronutrient that serves a variety of functions in the body. Number one reason I love it is because it helps keep me full. Protein helps to suppress your appetite, so it helps to keep you full. So if you're the person that always feels like they're hungry, it's probably because you're not getting enough protein. The average person, guys, a female gets between 40 to 60 grams a day. The average male probably 60 to 80 grams of protein a day. But they should be at 100 grams and 150 grams respectfully for the females and the males. And so we're vastly as a society under taking in way too little protein. And that's one of the number one things I help people with, is figuring out what their exact specific protein number is for them, and then working at hitting that on a daily basis, and we watch their energy just skyrocket. It's such a cool thing to see. Okay, so protein is so important, and I just want you to know that in the later videos we're going to talk about what are different types of protein and how much of it to eat. But right now I just want you to understand you need to eat lean protein every time you eat. Every time you eat, you gotta have protein to keep you full, maintain your muscle, and boost your metabolism. The second thing is complex carbs. The simplest way I like to think about complex carbs is there's 3 categories. I like to say fruits, I like to say veggies, and whole grains. The majority I would love to see people do is lean on fruits and veggies, okay? Because they're typically lower in calorie, high in vitamins and minerals, moderate in carbs and a little bit of protein. So they're fantastic for the body. Even in whole grains, those are things like oatmeal, sweet potatoes. If you're going to do bread, like whole grain, natural bread, some people can, some people can't. Or even like pasta, there's different pasta noodles you can get that will support your wellness goals and not kill it. Okay, because most carbs, for example, are white refined sugars, and that's the type of stuff that just kills your wellness goals and really stores body fat. But you can take in whole grains that actually help support your mission of maximizing your energy vitality, again, to blow up your business and help your family, take care of your family. So complex carbs, guys, fruits, veggies, and whole grains. So every time you eat, you got to have both. That's what the plus sign's for. Lean protein, complex carbs, combine them in every meal, And the complex carbs will give your body energy. That's the number one thing that they do, is to give your body energy. And the protein will help to maintain your metabolism and muscle and keep you satisfied appetite-wise. And typically that will hold you over, if you have a decent amount of each, about 3 to 4 hours, depending on how much you eat and what your frame is and things like that and how active you are. But people who don't get enough protein, they typically are really hungry all the time. People who don't get enough carbs are typically tired all the time. People who don't get enough of either are just in a rough situation. I would say immediately let's start working on that. And you know, sometimes some foods have both in them. Like I've said Greek yogurt before, it's a cool little snack if you guys like dairy, if you like yogurt. It's got the carbs and the protein in it, so it's combined. Or another thing you can do is have them separate. So let's say you had beef jerky as your protein source, then you can mix that with an apple or a banana or some broccoli and cauliflower, right? Then you'd have your complex carbs and your protein. So they can be separate or together. Just want to make that quick note if you guys were just wondering about that. But there's our 3, guys. So we're picking up momentum. We're eating within the first 30 minutes. We're eating every 2 to 3 to 4 hours. Things are going well. Now what we're putting on the fire per se, we're putting in our bodies, is the right stuff, the protein and the complex carbs. So what's the last step? What's the last guideline that will help make the biggest difference for you? And what it is, guys, is drink more water. Water, water, water. It is so, so important to drink water. And I mean, just from working with thousands of people across the country over the last 5 years as a wellness coach, guys, gentlemen, we do not drink enough water. We'll usually lean on things like coffee or sweetened teas or sodas or some type of beverage that's got a flavor to it that doesn't do what water does in your body. Okay, and sometimes when we get used to these sweetened beverages, it's tough to go back to plain water, but it's essential. And you know, there's a progression a lot of times of going from sweet things all the way back to water, but we need to drink a ton of water. And so then the question is, well, how much water do you drink? And there's a lot of different thought processes out there, or schools of thought around how much water you drink, and different research shows different things, right? There's not really like, here's what you do. If that was the case, it'd make things so much simpler. And actually in the nutritional world, there's so much advice out there, and a lot of it's just hogwash, bad advice. So you got to kind of like sift through what works and what doesn't work, or you can just listen to what I'm telling you because I've already done that for you, okay? But water-wise, here's what I'll say. Figure out how much water you're drinking right now. Okay, so like let's say you're drinking 10 glasses of water, perfect. And maybe your glass is this big and the next person's glass is this big. I don't really care, right? But what's your baseline? 10 glasses of water, or maybe you have a water bottle of specific size and you have 3 of those a day. Okay, that's what you know, 3 water bottles a day, perfect. Or 10, whatever it is for you. I want you to drink more water tomorrow than you did today. In a slow progression, so drink a little bit more, drink a little bit more, drink a little bit more. And what's going to happen is your body is going to soak up that water and get to the point where it's saturated and hydrated, and then it's going to flow through you. Okay, so imagine this. Imagine you had a sponge, right? One of those big sponges, and you had a pitcher of water that you poured water on top of it. Now water is going into this dry, the sponge is dry, okay? So what happens is the sponge starts to soak up the water, soak it up, soak it up, soak it up. Eventually when it's saturated with water, and then when you continually pour the water on it, it just flows through. Okay, now think of the sponge as your body. We're gonna hydrate, 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 increase how much water you're drinking per day until literally you have a glass of water and within an hour you're already going to the bathroom to get rid of it. Okay, and when you see that, then you know, okay, I'm fairly hydrated, I should be good to go. Okay, and again, there's not a general rule of thumb like 10 cups of water or 15 water bottles or whatever it is, because everyone's different, you know, different heights, different weights, different body frames, different muscle masses, different body fat percents. So you really got to just customize it for yourself to make that work. But water is uber essential, guys. It plays a function in almost everything in your body. So one of the things that we'll do with people is focus on that right away, and their energy will literally double just from water intake. Like, how simple is that? But we don't do it, most people. So my challenge for you, water-wise, is to figure out what your baseline is, and then do a little bit more the next day, and then do a little bit more the next day, and build it up until you feel like the water's flowing through you, and you'll know. The one other trick you can do to know if you're hydrated or not is your urine when you go to the bathroom should be clear. That's another good sign that you're hydrated. When it's not, when it's more pale or more, you know, vibrant yellow color per se, then your body's not really that hydrated. So again, that's a second way of knowing, you know, where you're at in the hydration standpoint. But Guys, to sum everything up, we have our 80-20 philosophy. 80% of your effort should go into what you're eating, okay? You cannot outwork a bad fork. If you're eating garbage and eating crap, it doesn't matter how much you exercise. Nothing will happen physique and nothing will happen energetically. So huge thing for you is to focus on your nutrition. That being said, exercise is still important. You have to exercise to release the endorphins, to challenge your body from a physical standpoint, to really feel masculine, in my opinion, and really feel confident. Exercise is an important part. And there's different types of exercises that we'll get into later, but you need both. But the biggest piece of the puzzle that will make the biggest impact for you the fastest is your nutrition, okay? And then we went over the 4 guidelines, 4 things you can do starting right now to make sure that you're starting to maximize your energy and vitality so you can invest into your business with maximum efficiency and also have the energy when you get home at night or spending time with your loved ones so you guys can have an amazing time together and you're not worn out and not crabby and you're feeling good and you go into family time with energy and excitement. So with that, guys, I want to say thanks for staying with me. If you made it this long, you made it more than most people. Most people don't have the desire to really stick it out and implement some of this stuff. So that's our next step. Start implementing this stuff starting today, if you can, or even tomorrow if it's late at night if you're watching this video. But we want to start immediately to implement it and take action on it. That's one of our core philosophies here in our organization, is that you need to take action immediately on things that you learn to really start getting that result that you're looking for.